What do you go back to? Do you go back to the altered time?
But then...
Or do you go back to the time and there's just an altered timeline? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get you.
Like, if you change something in the past and you go back to the present, do you go back to the changed present or the not changed present?
That's all. You don't think you would physically recognize yourself?
I think what would likely happen is we would do the normal human instinct, which is to think that guy looks a lot like me.
Really? You think so? Really?
Do you become the wall? Does the wall form around you, or does it split your hand off? Those are like the three options, and I've never been able to tell what I think would more likely happen.
Maybe you can go through a wormhole or something, come back, and you just come out, like for like brain dead or something. I don't know. Like, you don't know what could happen to you psychologically. Like, what if it crushes your brain or something in the process? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, you don't know. Like, I'm such a loser, swear to God, I'm the worst.
Oh, excuse me.
Dang, bro, were you just sucking on that robo pee-pee right there?
The robo pee-pee? What is it? I was not getting it. I did not understand what you meant by
the big black robo pee-pee.
Robo pee-pee.
So welcome back to the Woodsmen
Welcome
podcast.
back to the Woodsmen podcast. I'm your host, or co-host, Joey Rucker.
You almost said Brent Murphy.
We're your hosts, Joey Rucker
and Brent Murphy.
And we're already off to a great start.
We got a episode cooking for y'all today.
We do. In normal fashion, as we're still in our janky setup, but in normal fashion, since we always talk about our setup in the beginning of these episodes, once again, even with the janky setup, we got a much better, clean-looking version of it now.
100%. Well, I mean, it's way easier to move.
Yeah, we can actually stand up and walk around because, again, still doing this in a garage, so the spacing is kind of limited. Yeah. But we're getting there.
Well, we were just talking right before this too about the furniture in here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
needs a little replacing at some point. You
showed me that couch yesterday.
The free offer of
the red one.
Yeah, that red one was pretty cool.
The more modern looking one.
The only problem is like, do I want to do red again? I think at this point, like, it's just so hard to match, Like,
it is hard to match.
You got your couch and then you got mine. They're two totally different reds.
That's true. I definitely think if you got new couches, you should get
brown or a gray or something.
Ooh,
what do you think?
Actually, if I had to pick between brown and gray, I think you specifically should go gray.
Yeah.
I think it would be very, what's the word? Professional looking.
Yeah, that's what
especially with this podcast. Now I'm only sitting here thinking about.
I'm also like trying to go for like the beach. Do you know what like boho decor is? It's like I think it's like bohemian something.
Bohemian, no.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of that like wood, very light color, like like white and light woods. Like when we were going to the beach and we saw those cool houses. It just kind of has the beach vibe where it's like a lot of wicker, a lot of woods, a lot of like, greens and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could get down with that.
Especially with the table that we've been talking about. I'm trying to buy a surfboard table. It's pretty cool.
Table.
It's also like $300, but it's got that magnetic bottle opener at the bottom of it.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Dude, that is such a cool table, but $300?
Bro, if I could
a lot.
Like put down a check on any given thing.
A car.
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean for like adding to a house or something.
Got it.
It would immediately and without a
outside?
doubt in decor.
Okay.
Ish. You'll see what I mean.
I know I keep interrupting you, but
No, you're good. It's the first thing I would love to drop a shitload of money on is a pool table. I would love like a really nicely made one.
Like a custom made pool table?
I would love one. Just like one of those ones where you walk in and you're like, oh, I have to feel it.
With a Woodsman logo on the...
Oh my God, could you imagine? Dude, we should start thinking of Woodsman
bear paw
merch. A bear paw. Dude, it's
in the middle?
It's the bear and the
clanking
wolf
the glasses
on the side of the table. Oh my God.
That would be sick.
Dude, that would be so cool.
I
think we have
I think that's
meeting to go to. We have to
new merch, guys. New merch. We're gonna do custom pool tables. $1,200 each.
I'd be down to do a pool table if we could ever afford
That would be amazing. Could you, like, that sounds like a Bert and Tom
that
thing.
They would definitely have a two
That
bears.
sounds like a Bert, like,
yeah.
riddle me this right now.
I have an idea.
Pool table, but with a bear on
Two
it.
bears pool table.
Yeah, literally. That.
No, Bert would be more
Let's
likely
market
to
it.
be like two bears pool table team. Like we have a whole like people who are professional.
Like a tourney?
Yeah,
like a pool tournament?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. That would be, oh my gosh,
Dude.
that would be, could you imagine having a pool tournament with like comedians? Only comedians?
Honestly, that would be a great idea
like
for
Bill
a video.
Burr?
Oh my god.
Like, could you imagine playing,
Dude,
could you imagine playing, first of all, could you imagine playing ping pong with Bert?
I don't know what. Oh my god. No, honestly, I feel like he'd be really good at it.
That's what I'm saying.
Did
like,
you
I
see
feel like he'd be really good.
The two bears tennis match?
He should not have been
really
that good.
He's
too big to be that good.
I know.
Like, why is he fast?
He's really big now. He's not. I know we're just
Yeah.
slamming on Bert right now, Bert Kreischer.
I love
but
Bert. He's literally my favorite.
he's the
comedian,
best,
but,
and but he's big.
he is big.
He is
He needs to have like another sober April.
sober April. Yeah.
I think he needs to not wait till October this year.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's just because he's been touring heavily.
No,
when he
it's
tours
true.
heavy, he parties heavy.
But that's the problem with his lifestyle is with the like in order to keep up views and attention,
he's got to
and
go crazy.
He's got to keep going. Like his whole lifestyle now is personified through the party guy.
Yeah.
So there's
you
like
can't
no
not
turning
be
back.
the party guy when you make a movie with Mark Hamill as your
As
dad.
your dad about you stealing from your own classmates with
Yeah.
the Russian mafia.
I feel like that's it. That you're destined to be the party guy for
Yeah,
the rest
it
of your
is,
life.
yeah.
Now. That's it.
What do you think? Or not? What do you think? But I feel like if we did merch, obviously we could not do a pool table, but it would be really cool to actually have a couple like
Shirts and jackies.
shirts, hoodies, like hats. Can you imagine like a?
Some trucker
Woodsman
hats.
hat.
Some trucker hats for the big
Dude.
boys.
That's why we were talking yesterday a little bit. We never got around to it, which is fine. But we got to start thinking of a logo for the podcast, so that way, like, you know, we can. And we got to. You actually brought it up a couple weeks ago that we need a font. We got to
Yes.
find
We
a good
should
font
buy
and make a font.
a font.
Like that actually sounds like a great idea, and then we could use both that and the logo. That could literally just be
For
like
everything.
a hat or
Literally everything.
inside the shirt. That would be cool.
Yeah, because most of the time when you buy a font, they come in like bundles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
they
you
do.
can just use the whole bundle for everything, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so we just need one that's like universal enough to like, okay, we can use this on like multiple different things,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I think hats would be really cool. And
Hats
I
would
wasn't
be a
thinking
good
about
one.
that.
I know I would definitely rep the hoodies, probably some shirts.
Oh, you would definitely rep the hoodie.
Oh, I would love a shirt though. Like honestly, like, and you know what? I don't think I actually would want it to be black.
I'm a long sleeve guy, so I would
I'm
love a
trying to
long
get
sleeve.
out of long sleeves. It's like all I have. I need to go on a new shopping run. I need to
It's
just
been
get
a
a
while.
whole bunch of plain tees, but like a bunch of different colors.
Yeah. It's been a while since you've updated the wardrobe.
Yeah, I know.
I had to upgrade. Gosh, I can't even talk. I had to update the wardrobe
Really?
because it can't fit into like 80% of the clothes I
Oh
own now.
no.
You know,
Damn.
dude, that freaking sucked. I spent hundreds of dollars on 3XL shirts, and now I don't have any more 3XL shirts.
Jesus. Yeah. I hope that I have that problem one day. You know.
You can do it, bro.
I
Okay,
know.
so for the audience of like 5 listening at the moment, hi mom.
Hi guys. Yeah.
What do you think stops you from just doing it?
Oh God, we're getting real.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the podcast, bro. It's time to just
dive in.
This should be a motivational pod. Like this should be like
It kind of
from
started
all of
that
our
way.
from all of the topics we've done. It is like been pretty heavy, and then it'll be like, but at the end of it all, guys, you
Jesus loves you.
know, amen.
Yeah.
Amen, guys.
No, we actually talked a little bit. That's how some of these episodes started, which was at the beginning.
Normal convos.
Like it was about January or February when we started.
yeah,
Was it January? Was it like
almost 4 months.
a little bit after the new year? That's crazy.
I think so. Well, yeah, because I didn't have the Apollo until December.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah. Oof. But
We
no,
knocked
in some of
First
the
all,
earlier ones.
I know it's cutting you off, but we filmed a lot of episodes within a 3-month time period.
Yes, we did. I think
with having a gap.
this is episode 10, technically 12 of the amount we've recorded, right?
Because this would be 12.
This would technically be 12 because
This
of
would have
those
been our
original
second-
2 ones.
This would have been our second official week.
That's
If
crazy.
we were gonna,
This would
if we were gonna post weekly.
If the last episode really was 9, technically, with the new episodes, then yeah, this would be 10, making it 12.
Wow,
That's crazy. That's so many videos.
Wow.
I don't think I've
That's
recorded
so many
that many
hours.
videos. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Because each one is about an hour to an hour and a half.
so try an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Those beginning ones, I think the first one we got up to like an hour and 58 minutes.
There was one, yeah. There was a couple, 1 or 2 that actually got really long.
Dude, that's insane.
I could honestly do that. If we had like the right topics or we had something like a really good
2-hour episodes?
Dude, I could do a 2-hour episode. I could do a 3 if it was like a special occasion or something. Like if we really just sat down.
Yeah, if we had topics planned, like if we knew like what we were going to
Yeah.
be talking about and everything and it was structured, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a talker. I can talk for hours.
Same.
I can talk right now.
It all depends on. Well, okay, I don't want to keep going off on this road. You asked me a question. Let me.
Yes. Okay. Let me like rephrase it so
Okay.
it's like, nice and fresh. What is the one deciding factor that stops you from staying motivated to lose weight?
I don't know what the specific answer is. It's a lot of laziness. There's a mix of lazy and a mix of like it's just hard to keep the habit going, like I told you yesterday. Like because I know who I am as a person. And I told you this in one of the past episodes, when I have a structure to something, I relatively keep to it. And though not everything I have started at the beginning of the year is still going, we still regularly try to meet up for the quick writes on Wednesdays. I try and do the animation thing with Alex as often as I can. I haven't been doing the music stuff as often with Tyler, but you and me have still been doing this.
Yeah.
So keeping that structure, keeping it to a day has still been helping.
we've worked on music too.
Yeah, that's true. We have. The structure helps me, but structure with food and exercise, it's just I had it going for a minute there where my body was in pain.
You were going going pretty good for like what, 2 weeks? I think
Couple,
two
yeah,
and a half
like 2 weeks. Yeah,
something
that was
like
about where I fell off. But getting back on the horse is the hard part. The moment you take a day or 2 days or 3, actually. I think I may have already actually said this on one of the podcast episodes when we were talking about college, but that reminded me of a thing one of my professors told me, which was at the beginning of the year when I went back to that semester after I failed. Well, womp. When I went back, the main leader, I don't know if that's the right term, that's like head of my division in college.
Your department head,
which also happened to be my professor that semester.
That's what mine was. My first.
Oh, really?
My screenwriting.
It's really intimidating.
My screenwriting class where I wrote 60 pages for that script. That was my department head.
So much.
It was terrifying, and I did not do good.
Well, she said something to me that resonated, which was, she said it to the whole class, not just me. I'm not
Joseph Rucker.
Yeah, but she
I got
said,
some words for you.
If you guys are struggling or you just can't make it to class one day, that's fine. Take your day. You're an adult. It's understandable that sometimes you need a day. Don't let it go past 2 days, because 2 days you're very unlikely to get back on to going to class.
Yeah.
And then she said if you do it a third time, it's statistically almost impossible that you're going to get back on.
Really?
Like, it's actually like, yeah.
Wow.
And that's just for attending class. She was like, if you need a day, stay out, get some sleep, get some rest, clear your mind. But if you have a second day, she wouldn't recommend it, because that's exactly how you trail into the third day. Mm-hmm. And then if you go the third day, then you're likely not to come back.
Now, question for that. When she goes by days and stuff like that, do you think she's referring to just her class?
No, I
Or
think
you think she
she
just
meant
means in
just
general?
school in
Like,
general. She just
got
meant
it.
like as your mental health and getting up and attending classes, because it really is a hard thing to do when
it is when you choose, you got to choose to go or not.
Exactly. And so I feel like there's a little bit of truth to that, even with the exercise or the staying healthy. There was that first day where I was just like, man, my body is killing me. I just need a breather. I'm going to just not do it today. And so then I was fine. And then I woke up the next day and I really could have just kept going. My body felt a little better. I could have kept doing the exercises like I had planned, and then I just didn't.
You just get tired.
And it just spiraled from there. It just downhill.
I mean, I think the 2 week mark is always, I think, the most challenging, because I think your body starts getting used to it. Like you said, like because I was with you the first week. Mm-hmm. You were pretty strong. You went in pretty strong. Yeah. I would actually offer you foods, and you'd be like, "No, I'm okay." Or you would eat something else, So you were going for it, but once you're in the second week, you're so like, tough. I've done I'm like 5-6 days like solid. Had like one cheat day or something, one cheat meal, whatever, and then you're like, it's fine. I can have another cheat day this week, and then that's when the cycle starts. Because then you keep telling yourself, 1 day's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
2 days isn't that bad. I've been on it for a good, 3 weeks? 2 days?
Yeah, I can take 2 days
good.
off.
I'm good.
2 days, and that's what you do. You
2 days in a row.
You compared 2 days to the 2 weeks. You're just like, well, the ratio.
Yeah, the ratio. I've been doing way more work.
Yeah.
I can
totally afford it.
Yeah, I can take a break.
But it's like my professor said, once you hit that third day, I feel like it totally applies 100%.
to 100%. You hit 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row not doing anything, you're done.
Yeah.
Straight, like when I was in Bakersfield, oh my gosh, dude, trying to get back into it. Here, I mean, it took me the full week. I didn't do anything. When I came back, I was like, my arms are jello.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine doing like 60 to 100 push-ups every single day and then not doing it for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
It is weird. It is like a weird feeling. I couldn't even do 15 in a rep again. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, I'm back to like 8 and it hurts. What the heck, Now I'm like having to build myself back up on there. So it's like,
one thing I've been enjoying doing with you, I don't know if that's
sword fighting.
Well, yes, we have been doing that.
Foam sword fighting because we're real men.
Yeah, because we're adults.
Exactly.
But no, I've been enjoying going to like places like, excuse me, Heart Rock, and
yes,
on some of our hikes, like we hiked Blair and we hiked Rubidoux just yesterday. So I've been enjoying doing that.
So much more fun.
Way
more fun.
I think it also but again, it does depend on where you go. Because I really enjoyed Rubidoux. I did not enjoy.
Blair Park is putting in work.
Yeah, it is.
It is not a fun hike. It is not a fun hike whatsoever.
If I was staying more active, then I bet I could do it more often. But like with my current status, I got to work into the hikes.
Yeah, you hike it. I mean, I was doing 3 to 4 a week there, and it was.
Yeah, that.
I only was able to do 2 weeks before like my legs were like, nah, this ain't for me. So I mean, there's some hikes where it's like, yeah, they're good for you, but like at what cost? Like I would much rather hike Heart Rock like 4 or 5 times a week versus Blair Park like 3 times.
It's no, it sucks, man, because I think I can get back into it. I'm definitely going to. Like we've already been hiking more often, which has been helping me feel more active. But staying on the diet is probably going to be the next step, where I just got to buckle down and do it, But I think I'm probably going to try. It's just going to be a matter of when, which is like, that's the hardest question, because it's like, man, I'll just do it at the beginning of next week. I'll just do it tomorrow. Or it's like, why don't you do it today, fat ass? And it's like,
I mean, I've been in the same boat. I've kind of been the same way, where I'm like, get back on the horse tomorrow, especially with school right now, because like my classes are just so odd compared to any other classes, where it's like, I'm in there for 3 hours. Yeah. So when I'm out, I obviously don't want to be doing any more homework because I've been in there for 3 hours, And I've gotten on the wave where I'm not doing my discussion questions online, bro. I hate. First of all, why?
Don't get me started. I hate discussion questions.
Like, why, when you don't grade me based off of, like, my answer? You're grading me off of me saying some stuff. I didn't read that.
Do your professors also what's
Where
the
you have
word?
to comment?
Grade you if you whether or not you actually reply to other students?
I had
do you
that.
actually have to
I had
interact with
that.
them?
I don't have that this semester.
Oh,
I had it
that's-
last semester
that's
though, and
nice.
it was rough.
Every-
you had to
every
reply to
class.
like 3 classmates or something, and it
And
had
if
to
you
be a
don't,
word
you
count or
fail?
something.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I get it. You want us to participate, but why am I gonna? I don't know these people. My opinion don't matter to them.
Dude, when I had to do that kind
I'll
of
just
stuff,
be like, yeah, cool.
I would just to hit the word count. I even remember this. I would have like a couple sentences that I could change the verbs or the adjectives or the nouns
To
or
make it
whatever,
longer?
just to make it a little different every time. But if you read it back,
It's the same
all
thing.
the same sentence on every single post that I replied to.
Do you do the? We used to have one where it was a sentence count instead of a word count.
A sentence count? It had a sentence
It
count?
was a sentence count, and it was like 5 sentences, and I would do, "Hey man!" exclamation point, 1 sentence.
That's so dumb.
Because there's a
No, we
subject
never-
and a
we
verb.
never
There's a
had
subject
that.
and a verb, so they can't tell me no. So I'll
That's-
be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like, so cool to see, blah blah blah. Period. 2 sentences. 3 sentences. Like, I would literally just
No.
try and check everything off
Especially
the box.
near the tail end of my college career, they would make it to be like 300 word replies, which
I
isn't.
think mine was like 250.
It's not a lot.
It's like what, a paragraph?
Yeah, it's just a decent sized paragraph. But like, if you have to
3 times?
3 times, yeah, I had to reply to 3 people.
It's like a whole page.
Sometimes 2. Sometimes a lot of times it was 2. I guess sometimes it was 3.
You were like, the requirement was 3, but a lot of times I only did 2.
That's why I failed. No, I definitely failed because I didn't go. But
It's fine. It looks like we have a problem with not going.
yeah, but then we end up going, which is the important part.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think
We
that
finished
I think
strongly.
that happened to me last semester. Like what you were talking about you got 3 times not in class, you ain't going back. I think it was the same thing.
Really?
I was stressing so hard about that screenwriting, and I was behind my first day. I didn't have like 5 pages that I needed, and in my head, obviously I'm not a screenwriter, so I didn't know this off the top of my head. I didn't realize that a page long was a minute. I thought a page was 30 seconds. And the show was a 25-minute show.
Oh God.
I wrote 60 pages thinking that was going to be 30 minutes, and it ended up being an hour.
Oh my gosh.
I wrote literally
whole
double.
hour.
I wrote double what I was supposed to do for my final.
Really? No.
And
way.
I didn't go to, and because because I wrote so much, I was stressing because I was like, I'm not going to get this done. How is it possible that all these people are coming into class right now with like 30 pages in
Oh
1
my
week
God,
while
I
I have
hate
other
that.
classes,
I
bro?
hate that.
Like how? Like how are they physically doing it? So I'm out here sweating. I'm like, I'm not going to class. Fuck this.
Yep.
There's no way I'm
that
going to
was
class
one of
right
the
now.
main motivators for me.
I
to
got
not
15
go.
pages, bro. I'm not
Yeah.
walking in there. They're going to ask me for my strongest freaking scene, and I got to sit here like, I have changed this screenplay like 4 times. I changed my story like 5 times in total, which on top of that, as you can tell, if you had to write 60 pages and you change the story, that's a lot of revision. So, yeah, 60 pages for a 30
Did
page
you ever
requirement.
have the opposite problem? It would actually be more of a benefit where you had any classes where you could literally never show up and you could completely pass. I had 3 that
No.
I never went to in college. And I'm saying it now.
I never had that. You're lucky.
Both of my public speaking classes, I never had to show up once to. I did in the beginning because I was scared.
That was the only class I failed.
Really?
Yeah, I got a D.
I literally
in
only passed.
human ecology.
I literally only passed because all the assignments were writing small speeches about a certain topic and then recording yourself doing it. So
You
then
didn't even have to be in the class to present?
there was probably 1 or 2 assignments out of the whole semester that I had to be there for. And even those ones I could afford to lose out on and then just make up the points by doing the other speeches on my own.
Dog, that's
Like
That's
the only I remember
dumb.
I wasn't going to one of the public speaking classes for a while, and then the only reason I showed back up to class was because there was a group project coming up, and I needed to have a partner, and I knew that I if I didn't show up, I wouldn't get one, and so I showed up. I got a partner, and then I
You'd be
didn't
like,
start.
hey, are you new to the class?
And dude, the guy started texting me because I immediately stopped going again. He
Makes
was
sense.
like, "Hey man, I didn't show up to class today. Do you know what we did?" I was like, "No,
I haven't showed up to class in 3
haven't
months.
the slightest."
Yeah. Oh.
And
my
but then
gosh.
we ended up meeting and just doing stuff alone. But then I also had a sculpture class, which literally all you had to do was
Oh, I think I remember that. Was that when you brought home all that clay and you
Yep.
made that small bear?
Yep. All
Yeah.
you had to do to get points for that class was do the assignment, which was get the clay, make the thing, and then take a picture of it and upload it. So I just, on like the third week, grabbed like 5 to 10 of those clay things, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to take 2 and use it for that current project and then get more when you're... I just took
You
10
just bulk made all of
and
them?
I just left. And so then I would keep, and then because I never went to class, if I ever ran out of clay, I would just go to the oldest sculpture that I made,
Tear it apart?
destroy it, and then I would just make another one. There was never a final or anything to show all of them, thank God,
No
because I didn't have all
way.
of them at the end. feel
I
like
had
I'm so
one big
congested
one.
this morning.
I had one big one.
Yeah.
That is... You're lucky. I've never had a class, like, I don't know if it's a community college thing. They're like, oh, we got to keep these boys accountable or something. Like, I don't know what it is, but they're like, you don't
Might
show
be.
up, you're getting marked down.
Really?
So it's
Damn.
it feels like high school in that way where it's like, damn, gotta go. Now, I mean, they're pretty chill. Like, at least in my department now, I don't know if it was because I was just taking my general eds. And I mean, I'm literally technically still taking them because I haven't finished like 2 or 3 classes for that. But
Yeah.
I decided I'm just taking department classes now. I'm so done with math and I'm
No, I
so
feel that.
done
I
with
feel that,
English.
yeah.
I'm so done with
I was
history. And
done
I'm
with that
so done with all,
too.
like, I'm bad at all of them equally. Like, maybe, like, I think I'm okay with English. I mean, but other than that,
Not.
I am terrible at math. I'm
My worst
so
is math.
terrified of
Yeah.
dates. I'm so bad with dates. I think I'm a
Dates-
little bit better now because I'm older and like I'm starting to
Yeah.
understand. Like I know the 1700s, the golden age of piracy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know the 1800s. You know, you got Cowboys, Wild West.
Yeah.
1900s. You know. all
I
that kind of
thought I
stuff.
was
But
bad with dates. I had a I know we're just spiraling down this rabbit hole, but I had a art history class, which you know is exactly what it sounds like. And
you had
so
it
I
in college.
in college. Yeah, it was like it was one of the classes I failed because of not showing up and not doing the work. So then I ended up taking that one during the summer. Fun fact, before I went to do it for the summer, before I failed it on that semester, I had to drop out of it a different semester because I just hated the teacher in the process. But then I got
That's
so
okay.
unlucky that the semester I failed, I got the exact same teacher and the exact same processes.
Aw.
So we ended up doing the class over the summer, but with a completely different school. And that's class
interesting.
was so much better, bro. I
Really?
can't describe. It's just the process. We talked about this in a previous episode. You can be engaging with your students. You can make it a fun learning
Yeah.
priority, but you don't have to make them also want to kill themselves during the process.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny that you mention art history because, fun fact, art history was the reason I got my first tattoo.
Really? Oh, yeah, because of the, I don't know what it's called, but we actually learned about that painting
Yep.
in the art history
And
class.
my art history teacher took me to get it tattooed on
I
me.
really should know what
At
it is
18.
off the top of my head because it really is a famous,
The Great Wave.
is that what it's called?
Great Wave. Yes, sir.
Um,
Japanese woodcut.
Yes, it was. Yes, that's right. Woodcut. Oh my
Yes,
God,
sir.
I remember the whole section of woodcut.
Yes, sir.
Paintings and art. And
Japanese
dude,
woodcuts, man.
I love the woodcut stuff.
Yeah, so I freaking... And apparently...
Huey
No,
left. He was trying to escape.
not my boy Hubert.
Bro.
Hubert Grant. I think that's
even
his
think
name.
we mentioned. I don't think we had our boys in the last episode.
We didn't.
And
They
I
got
feel
left
so
out. I'm
bad.
so sad.
They were so offended.
My
But
little,
they're here
my
now. They're
child.
here hanging with us.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so art history, man, it brings a lot of people together in the weirdest of ways.
Our history is very, very interesting. I love it.
It's very fascinating to think that there is like a subject taught about the art of like just the world.
Mm-hmm.
I like it's so crazy to me to think that there is like so much history behind like what people were painting, you know, and like drawing and stuff like that. And then you think about how far it goes back. You got like hieroglyphics and you got like cave paintings and you got all that. It's like
the class specifically was called History of Graphic Design, not just art history. And so
that's cool.
And it literally starts back with cave paintings as the first form of graphic design.
Wow.
The paintings of just like cows and horses and men. And it actually, it's really interesting to see, like, to learn about how people back then would have been able to have the figures drawn so perfectly for that time, but that's another thing.
Well, and also finding things like to use as like dye or ink and stuff that has lasted thousands of years, you know, like that is pretty
crazy.
Like that primitive people were like, what can we use to make this? Like, how can we make this stay on a cave for thousands of years? Like, you know, like that's just so crazy to me that
I loved learning about all that. And it's like you said, the hieroglyphics, the evolution of the graphic design from the cave paintings to the hieroglyphics to there's another glyph.
Is it petroglyphs?
I think it might be petroglyph, actually.
I don't even know how I know that.
Sounds
I don't
right.
even know what that is, but I know the word.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's where whatever symbol or picture you draw,
It
you
has
actually,
a meaning for something, right?
They all have their own individual meanings, but if you combine the two or multiple, however many,
it tells like a story.
It tells a different word or a different phrase. And the
Interesting.
easiest one, again, I really hope it's petroglyphs, judging my
If it's
history
not,
here.
we're going to feel real dumb.
But the one example they showed in my class was that if you had a picture of a bee and a picture of a leaf, it meant belief. And so, and that's how people would symbolize stuff throughout language, and not just design, but language too, was that for a while. So
that's interesting.
Super cool.
That's actually, wow.
Yeah.
The fact that people were they just did that. They just like, were like, all right, cool. Let's just think of this real quick.
Yeah.
People just coming off the dome just with all this crazy stuff and information. It is incredible.
Yeah.
But speaking of petroglyphs and hieroglyphics and everything, bro, sounds like we're kind of going back in time, and I think that brings us to the next topic that we have been eagerly discussing for the past 2 days now.
This is true, yes.
So time travel.
Time travel.
How are we feeling about that?
There are so many aspects to it.
What's that movie called? That with Adam Driver? It's currently out right now.
65.
Yeah.
Is it just 65?
And that's like a time travel movie too. Yeah, it's a number. I don't know what number it is.
A lot of people, I mean, I guess we have to see it in order to confirm that, but a lot of people didn't get from the trailer that it was time travel.
See, that's odd, because to me, that's exactly what
same here.
I don't understand how people didn't see that.
I've seen a bunch of TikToks going around where people are complaining. They're like, oh, I just wanted to see Adam Driver fight some dinosaurs, and I can't believe they're actually trying to, or not dinosaurs, but like these alien monsters or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's just a time travel movie. Like, he's just gone back in time. That's so stupid. I'm like, why is that stupid?
How did no one get that from the trailer?
The concept, the trailer.
They literally
set it up
landed
perfectly.
and they're in dinosaur times. Like, I don't understand what the
future meets past. That's like such a cool concept. Dinosaurs versus like energy rifles.
You're out here traveling, like you're out here traveling in space, thinking you're gonna get to a different planet.
Yeah.
And you realize we didn't get to a different planet. We traveled back in time. Like that is terrifying.
That would
like,
be. Oh man, we got to see it.
That's like our wormhole concept. What if you go through a wormhole and instead of taking you from one point to another, it takes you from one time to another and releases you back in a circle in the same spot?
Honestly, I wouldn't be against the thought of it, because again, we don't know. The only problem is,
think of Endgame, bro. It's one giant loop.
But then, but again, if we're talking about time travel, now we have to get into the specifics of how it works. Because let's say we go along with this theory of going into a wormhole, you enter at one point in time, you exit at another. If you're able to enter the wormhole and then somehow make your way back to Earth, either in the future or in the past, how do you not get noticed? I feel like we would have noticed something by now. I feel like that's one of the biggest questions of time travel is if it could exist or if it does exist, why haven't we seen it yet?
I think it's theoretically I think someone like big in the science community, I'm trying to think of, I think it was Stephen Hawking or no. Was Einstein the one that made the theory of relativity? Was that
Einstein?
I'm not in the science,
it's Einstein,
so I don't know.
Or it's Hawking.
I did right. I
two.
cannot think of which one it is, but apparently, like, it is possible. We just don't know how to do it. Like something based off of that theory. They're like, well, yeah, theoretically it could work.
Yeah.
It's just the technology on like how do we do it. Now, to answer your question though, have we not like found anything? You mean like if people have time traveled, how have we not found things? Well, I mean, I guess it would go back into what are the rules of time travel.
That's the thing.
Could you physically tell people? Like, I mean, what are the repercussions of?
To a certain extent,
I'm gonna let them know. You know, like what are the repercussions?
Oh my God, I
of
actually
that?
found it. The fact that we're talking about this, I don't know.
Were you? Yeah, like
since
the
it's
pictures
a photo,
and everything?
I can just bring this up in post. I don't have to share it. But have you seen this photo? This photo was taken. I wish I actually knew. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it. But basically, what the concept of the photo is, it's a really old photo, from. I don't know off the top of my head. If I can find it, I'll tell you. But the whole point is, really old photo, probably in the 50s, anywhere from the 20s to the 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And there's this guy here. Let me see if I can open it in a new tab for you. And then the viewers can just see it on the screen right now. That guy right there, I wish the circle wasn't there so you could make your own decision. But if you look at every detail, the haircut, the glasses, the T-shirt
he's
here,
very out of place,
and this jacket, this like hoodie-esque thing.
Yeah.
Look at everyone else around.
It matches nobody there.
He has like a old 2000s type of style, and so that's kind of where I'm going with this. Do you think there are more accounts of this kind of thing? If time travel existed, maybe there are certain moments where if you look at the right photo, even though you'll be like, nah, it's just a coincidence, maybe it's actually like photographed proof that somebody made it through and he just couldn't get back, or maybe he did get back and this is just caught on camera.
I think that would be fascinating. I don't know, because I'm a person who likes to believe that everything is possible. I don't know how to distinguish whether or not a photo is fake like that. I don't know how to. I don't really know just how to be the judge. How are you the judge of that? I mean, to that picture, just looking at it first glance looks.
Because I think it's been confirmed that it's a real photo, but you can make your own conclusions of whether or not if it is.
That's interesting.
My throat is.
Dude, I know my throat is messed up too.
We're recording this at what?
9
in the morning. So we woke up, got it set up early, but
that is. I don't know.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, too, to piggyback off of that idea.
Okay.
Do you think having the proof is enough in a picture? And what I mean by that is, like, going off of time travel, but still tying in with the same thing. You got the Patterson-Gimlin film, right? That is, like, the most documented proof of Bigfoot existing, right? Mm-hmm. I know we'd be going back into Bigfoot almost every episode, but you have that. And that has been, experts for over 50 years have analyzed that film. Mm-hmm. It is not fake. There's no way. So, it's on regular film. Mm-hmm. There is no way to digitally put that in there.
Yeah.
It moves too real. The appendages, the arms are too big for it to be a normal person's arms, their elbows wouldn't be in the right place, all that kind of stuff. Like, to me, it's real. Whatever is in there, whether it's a gorilla we haven't discovered, if it's, whatever it is, it's real. It's there. It's in the proof. People still say Bigfoot doesn't exist.
Really believe in it.
people say, "Oh, I want the pictures. Oh, I want this. I want that."
No, it's a good
you
question.
get it, but what do you accept?
Sometimes
do you need
the
the body?
photo isn't enough. Sometimes a lot of times actually, most of the time, people aren't gonna take word just based off of one photo or one video. Like, that's why I think there's a constant. It's not just even Bigfoot too. It's like it's aliens too. There's a lot of accounts. There are times where you see like clear evidence of something came from space.
Yeah. What's enough proof
or
for you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a show that I was watching, and I can't remember what it was, but they had that exact concept, which was that. Oh, it was Doctor Who actually.
Okay.
Doctor Who
Okay.
in the first the New Age Doctor Who, not the 60s one. In the first 3 to 4 seasons, Earth has contact with aliens for the first time in 2005 in the show. That's the first time aliens actually make legitimate contact with Earth.
Okay.
And they do that by a spaceship slamming into Big Ben. And then there's other accounts where there's this big, giant, island-sized spaceship that shows up. There's another one where it's like a spiderweb spaceship that tries to blow up the Earth. A whole bunch of accounts. Every single time that another alien came and then the Doctor got rid of it, they always just had like the same thing where people just, what's the word?
They like discard it, put it out of their minds, as if
didn't even think about it. Said, oh, it's a hoax. The government made it up. This was some kind of testing protocol or something like that. And I'm talking like legitimate alien species kidnapping human beings to the point where there's like a mind control alien that makes half of the human race go up onto a roof and get ready to jump off the roof. But then they still disclose that too. And I feel like that is so real to nowadays. If you had proof of time travel, to get back on time travel, even if we had the proof, people would disclose it. People wouldn't actually agree with it or believe it. Not genuinely.
People would rather think negative of the possibilities of other things, like outside of our comprehension, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with religion. A lot,
True.
you know, like with Christianity. I can't see how that would happen. You know, there are so many people like that. And then it's just like, because I can't see that happening, it don't exist.
Yeah.
And then boom, that's it. There is no like, you're not, no amount of evidence you're going to show me, no amount of proof you're going to show me is going to change my mind otherwise. It can't happen in my mind, which means it can't happen.
The human race is so hypocritical of itself.
But then you go to places like, you know, the UK, like you go to Scotland, you go to like all those kind of places. They are very open with all the crazy shit going on over there, like all the folklore, all the legends, all the aliens, all the Bigfoot stuff, all that stuff. They're like, yeah, we see some crazy stuff over here. Yeah, we've seen some. I mean, like Russia, like that one I was telling you about where those divers in Siberia saw whatever that was go in the water, and they tried to dive after it, and it freaking shot him up in the air like 50 feet, and he died because the freaking pressure on the lungs. It literally shot him up like 30 meters from the water, like fast.
Dude.
Like, dog, how do you see some crazy stuff like that and then act like
disregard it? You're just like, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
hoax.
People need it to happen to them firsthand, I think, for them to believe it.
That's the truth.
They need to like physically see Bigfoot. They need to physically see someone come out of a wormhole or something.
But even nowadays, I feel like there are so many people on Earth now, so many stupid morons.
That's just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, "Man, I just must be really high."
Yeah, you're like, oh,
"Did you smoke? No."
Look at the time.
Well, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
one of something that I also think is really odd, and when you find all these stories. When you find all the stories of these people who like witness some crazy stuff or like abducted by aliens or like missing time or you know Bigfoot, all this stuff, everyone's like, I wasn't smoking or drinking at all. I know I was sober minded. I know that it wasn't my mind. Isn't it so much more real if someone like us seen some stuff and we're like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. I was out in the woods. We were camping. We were session up, and then all of a sudden we seen this big old UFO over us, and like
you can make
I feel like
argument,
that is so much
but
more
a lot of
real.
people will put that argument.
I know
down
they will
because
disprove it. They'll disprove it for
especially
sure.
People
like
who don't smoke or drink, they'll put it
they'll
down
see it
as
different.
Like not a legitimate. Your mind wasn't completely there.
But it's like, dog. What if that? Like, could you imagine? Like, what do
if
you
you're
even do?
tapping
Like,
into
no
the
one
real
would
world?
believe you. No one would believe
No
you.
one.
Like, in that, dude, that would just be so insane. Just seeing something incredible and everyone just being like, "You're crazy."
That's probably why all the whack jobs that have seen aliens probably are seen as whack jobs, because they're probably pissed that no
Yeah.
one is believing them. That they're just
Facts.
like, dude, no, I saw something,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
seen
saying
some
I'm
stuff.
just some crazy old man out on his farm. Like maybe
I couldn't imagine.
he just want someone to believe him.
Yeah, you know how? I mean, I would too. You see some crazy stuff out
No,
there.
yeah.
You see a Bigfoot. What do you do?
Bigfoot.
Like, what do you? Do you say anything? Do you like? All right, I guess I'm gonna just act like nothing happened because no one's gonna
Yeah.
believe me anyways. Like, what do you even...
Probably.
Think of how many stories that have never been told because of that. Like, what crazy stuff has actually happened out there to people that we will never know.
We have talked probably on at least for 10 seconds on almost every video that we've done so far about that guy who saw the man on the mountain and has disappeared and still hasn't been seen.
Literally.
What if stuff like that is happening all the time?
And we just don't know.
We just don't know because somebody sees something that they're not supposed to see, and so the government or whoever, the CIA, FBI, who the hell cares, takes wind of the fact that they've seen it, and so they just snuff them out. They just
I actually heard something. I heard something very interesting the other day. Remember how we were talking about the 411 cases and all that kind of stuff a couple podcasts back, and we got into like all the Bigfoot stuff and all that, like all that kind of stuff, bro. I heard a theory that was so interesting.
Okay.
There have been so many Bigfoot cases or like sightings or like all that kind of stuff, in all these national parks, the U.S., all that jazz. But then you start asking yourself questions, right? Like logical questions. Well, if we've never seen it, if there's so many cases, we've never found bones, we've never found poop, we've never found, any of this stuff, right? Dog, I heard, what if the government and logging companies, because, like forests, you need wood, right? Mm-hmm. So logging companies, all this kind of stuff, ties into the quick rights of, yeah, we know Bigfoot exists, but why are we going to say anything and have all the national animal endangerment laws come in and tell us we can't work here any longer? We can't supply anything any longer because we got an animal out here that we don't know like anything about.
Oh.
So what if the government and logging companies and like all the partners within that community are just trying to cover up the fact that there is an animal that we don't know exists out in these places
theory,
and that we're not going to shut it down because that entails we can't disclose the information that, this is real, or else they're going to shut everything down to try and figure out what it is, Huh. Yeah, very interesting, right? I only bring that up because we're writing the quick rights and everything.
Yeah.
And we're talking a lot about logging companies and we don't want to cut down the forest. We don't want to do all this stuff because what happens... Yeah. What if that's literally just what's happening right now?
It could be. I would not be surprised if there was just.
And my national park rangers and stuff act so weird when you ask them about all the weird
why it
stuff.
Just kind of gets swept under the rug,
That could also tie in with feral people. What if people are out there that are just straight cannibal type? They're just living like animals and everything. And everyone knows about it, but they're not going to say anything because that requires having to shut things down.
Yeah.
And very crazy conspiracy, huh?
It is crazy. All right, but we got to get back on track. This is about time travel.
We do.
Not about the 411.
I know. It's just
mythical.
I just thought that was interesting, though. That's very interesting.
I have a question about time travel. I want your opinion.
Yes.
We're going to work in a hypothetical right now.
I'm ready.
The hypothetical is, in this case of time travel, don't worry about religion purposes. Okay. We're just able to time travel.
Just able to time travel.
We just invent it. and only select people, because let's be realistic with the
It'll be like the top
law,
1%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are able to do it. But if you could, and it actually was legitimately, you could go back or forward in time without any repercussions. Well, I don't want to say that yet. You could just go back and forth.
Okay.
If you went back, could you change the past? And the reason I say don't think about religion with it is because I know that, you know, if we take into account, you know, God's word and that kind of thing, then it's kind of theoretically impossible.
Got it.
But let's say God, religion, that doesn't exist right now in this hypothetical. You can just go back. Are the laws of nature still strong enough to fix everything, or do you think you can actually go back and like cause a paradox or
like permanently alter?
Can you cause a butterfly effect? Can you cause a paradox? Are paradoxes even theoretically a thing in this hypothetical?
All right, well, I got a counter for you then on that.
Oh God. Okay, go for it.
Would it work like the TVA? Would it just branch off a different timeline?
Oh.
Like, would it keep the same...
That's a good question.
Would it keep your same future? Or would it branch you off into a different dimension? A different possibility of what could happen? Would it deviate from the main timeline, you know?
Oh, I don't... That's true, because the way I think you're supposed to think about it with that methodology is you live the timeline, the normal timeline out like this, and then when you get to the end where you're about to time travel, you go back. Oh, sorry, everybody, that was probably loud. There's 2 points, the beginning and then where you time travel.
Yeah.
If you time traveled from the end to the beginning, then there would be 2 of you here.
Yeah, and it would branch you off.
And if you did something to change that, what would happen to this time here?
Exactly. Like, what happens when you go back?
Because...
That also...
Yeah, because what do you go back to? Do you go back to the altered time?
But then...
Or do you go back to the time and there's just an altered timeline? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get you.
Like, if you change something in the past and you go back to the present, do you go back to the changed present or the not changed present?
That's also if you're thinking of time in a straight line and not a circle.
Oh, I know. That's...
Because what if it was a circle or, you know, that's a full loop. Because time is made up.
Yeah.
Time's not real.
No,
there is no time traveling. It's traveling, period. So where are you traveling to, and what's the method of travel?
Well, I definitely...
Does that make
I know that there's no...
does that make sense?
No, I'm trying to think of how I want to argue or counter or agree with that.
It's just...
Because, obviously, I can agree with you to an extent that time
Because you
doesn't
wouldn't
exist.
be going back on a line. You would be... Would you be just moving forward to get back to the original point?
You're not going back on a line, but it is true that things have happened, are happening, and will happen. So, I don't know if... Even though I know that time isn't necessarily... Time is a construct, I get that. Going to something that has already happened that doesn't technically exist anymore, how would you even do that? Like, I know that's the whole question.
Oh, yeah.
But if like the problem with that I have with the circle idea is that if it's not a line that you can branch off into other lines, then how do you go back to something that just hasn't happened? You know.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I don't know. I
obviously
mean,
that's the whole idea of time travel. Like,
I think no
one knows.
I mean, if you're looking at it logically, then wouldn't it almost just be traveling interdimensionally? Like,
I feel like it would have to be something on that level.
Would it be traveling back to something, or would it be traveling to something?
It would have to be... I would almost believe it more if time travel, if it hypothetically did. You would travel... You would, like, travel dimensionally to another dimension that is just taking place
to open you
or
up
later.
in a different
yeah.
I feel like that's the only way
where
you
you're
could
not
do
actually
it.
traveling through time, you're traveling through space, and not the outer space. I mean space as in time and space. You're traveling through.
I know
like,
we sound like
void.
I know we sound like idiots right now, but yeah, I understand.
Like
what
it's
you
like
mean.
you said though. It's like you said. What if like a wormhole or a black hole or something? You go in at one point, and then all of a sudden you don't actually travel through time.
Yeah,
you're just exiting There was actually I was listening to the guy Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
And he was talking about not time travel, but he was talking about how if we were to travel light speed, one of the what is the word, fictional properties that got it closest to being accurate with light speed was Star Trek, I guess, because they used warp drive and not light speed. Warp drive, I guess what it actually does, scientifically speaking, is it is taking I'm going to try and explain this. This is weird.
You got this.
It takes the space around you, the time, the area that you're in.
Yeah.
And if you want to get 100,000 light years away from where you are now.
Yeah.
It basically doesn't move. You don't move that fast all the way there. It warps the reality around you.
Yeah.
Pushes the whole space forward to you.
Yeah.
And then you just come out on the other side. So you kind of don't move at all.
So what if that's just like theoretically like what wormholes are?
It could be.
Like it's just a form. We just don't know obviously how to replicate it. But
and I could see that working with time travel.
I mean, we've also talked about sound waves and how that could also.
Yeah, that's true.
Why are we trying to travel by light when we can travel by sound?
Mm-hmm.
There's sound waves everywhere around us.
Yeah.
At all times.
It's true.
Could you imagine learning how to manipulate sound in a way to transport you from one place to another? Or to defy gravity, to move things through sound instead of
that would be
gravitational
crazy.
Pull?
I feel like it has to be possible if we have the right technology for it.
Because I heard something where people were, remember that podcast I was listening to when they were talking about time traveling and everything, and the guy said in there when they were talking about sound wave and like traveling through that and everything, there was a quote that got me. He said, "I figured out how the Egyptians made the pyramids." And then you sit there and wonder, did they figure out how to move things through sound?
The pyramids.
Like, because you got it, because, there's so many different theories. Like, aliens helped and came and, it's just like, there's so many, like, it's physically impossible to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, so many, like, I think it's pretty much established that everyone's like, they're just so heavy. How do you do, like, without the technology, how do you do it? There had to be some technology that we didn't know was there. And if you're not going to think of it, if you're not going to think of it as an outside force helped, then could they have possibly mathematically figured out a way to
I wouldn't be
somehow
surprised.
break that, the gravity's too heavy. We don't have the center. We just can't do it. What if they learned how to use sound waves? What if they learned how to transport things not from a physical, but almost like a transportable way? Like, it's so fascinating, right? It's such a weird concept to think about.
What are your thoughts on paradoxes? Like for instance, the easiest one, grandfather paradox.
I actually don't know.
You go back, you kill your grandpa, do you wipe yourself from existence?
Ooh.
And if you do
like a butterfly effect type of thing?
Kind of, because if you kill your grandpa, you cease to exist. If you cease to exist, you never killed your grandpa. That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that is a reasonable argument, or do you think that you somehow could kill your grandpa and you would still stay there? You would still be person.
I guess that would depend on if you're thinking
right
of
now,
alternate timelines. I mean, would that cause a ripple effect?
Let's go with both.
Timeline?
If you let's start with, it does branch out timelines.
Okay.
Do you think that you would cause an alternate reality where you don't exist, but you still exist in your current moment?
I think I got you on this.
Okay.
I got you on this.
I feel like I don't know if I'm asking the right question.
So if we are going off of a branched timeline way of thinking, I think it is possible to kill your grandfather and you can remain within that new timeline. I think if you were to travel back to what would be your original timeline, you couldn't. Or that you would not exist. You would just be, like, I think you could show up in your what you would claim is your original timeline, And people
But
will be
you
like, hey,
wouldn't
what's
exist.
up? Like, nice to meet you. And you're like,
yeah,
dog, you're my
okay.
best friend. What are you talking about?
And that's based off of the alternate timeline theory, where you cause branches.
Yeah, now I'm thinking
So you would
if
go
you
back,
stayed within that timeline, that people would know,
like the
dog,
single timeline.
you're
you
the
mean.
murderer of that guy. I don't think they would see it as you're the grandson of who you killed, though.
That's fair.
You know, like I think people there.
But that's
would
if you
see
make a big
as,
enough name for yourself and people know you killed him. If you went back in time, killed a guy in his sleep,
slip some in his drink or something,
and then you just left and went back.
I think if you just went back to
People
where
just
you
wouldn't
came
know.
from, people just wouldn't know who you are.
Interesting. You would just. Okay, so but do you then? Here's
I think
the hard
regardless,
question,
no one would know who you are because if you're going that far back in time to
No,
kill your
I can get down with that
grandfather,
theory,
then
but
I just
then
think no one would know who
here's
you
the
are, and
harder
you could
question,
make
though.
your own
The
life.
harder question is, what if it is all one timeline? You can't make branches. If you go back and kill your grandfather, technically, do
Would it
you
be a
think
Back
it
to
would?
the Future kind of
Do
thing?
you think it would cause a ripple
I think
to
it
you?
would have to, right?
I
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be
here's
like a
why.
Back to the
Here's
Future?
why this question is weird to me, because I think I hope I'm going to explain this right. If you go back, kill your grandpa in 1950, whatever.
Yeah.
That I think you would disappear from existence anywhere from that point on. So your dad wouldn't exist, you wouldn't exist, but you, the person who is still back in time, I almost feel like theoretically, if you went back to the present, then you would disappear.
That's what I'm.
If you
no,
stayed
that's what
there
I mean. That's what I
in that old timeline, but I think that still works even for the one timeline thing.
I think you could thrive.
I don't think it needs to have the altering timelines. I think if you stayed right there, the future couldn't wipe you out because the future can't hit the past. You know?
Ooh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it would be So it would be like a Back to the Future vibe. People would be disappearing. You just wouldn't.
Yes.
So the whole family.
There's
the whole family
a whole
disappear,
timeline gone, but you are the
you
one
would
piece
exist because you're out
that
of that.
exists. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I can get
because you
behind
don't
that.
live in that timeline anymore. If you went back, you'd probably get wiped. I feel like.
Yeah. Either that, or does the future eventually catch up to you?
It's the question: can the future
It's like,
catch up to you in the past?
You're 50 years in the past or something.
Do you know there's actually a Pixar
You got 50
theory
years.
with that exact concept? There's a Pixar theory how every movie is connected, but to get there's a specific part of that where, you know, Boo from Monsters Inc. The whole theory is that when she grew up, she went back in time, became the witch from Brave.
I heard something
But
about
there's
that.
a theory that she went because there's a whole thing about memories. If you can remember someone in the Pixar universe, the theory is that they'll never die. Not truly. They'll die, but they'll never die in the afterlife. As long as
Coco.
someone exactly that, right?
Okay, got it.
So with that idea in mind, the theory is that Boo went back in time to the time of Brave, kept remembering Sully, so that Sully's soul in the future would never die, because she would never live to the point where Sully would always be remembered in the past, even though he's in the future. Same concept. So because the past, since the future can't hit the past, it can't wipe him from her memory.
Got it.
He'll always live in the afterlife.
Oh my gosh.
And
okay.
so
yeah.
it's the same
so it's like
concept.
a full circle.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
weird. So then it is a circle. It's not a linear.
It's a really
it's not a
fucked up
linear.
circle,
It's not a
but
linear
yeah.
timeline because if you go back on a certain point of the circle, it's all connected still. So if you continue to still believe, it still wraps around.
Yeah.
That's
oh man,
weird.
this is such a good episode. I'm having so much fun theorizing
That's so
some of this
interesting.
stuff.
Huh.
I feel like, you know what we should also talk about, though, with time travel? I feel like not enough people talk about the future and traveling to that.
I don't know if I'd want to travel to the future, though.
A lot of people say
What
that.
if you travel too far and then there's nothing there?
True, but we can at least say right now
Then you can know when the Earth
that
ends, and that's
so far
terrifying.
our theory has been that religion is not part of this equation right now. You do religion part of the equation, yeah, you might want to be careful on what year you jump to.
That would be scary.
But without religion involved, without God, you could theoretically go for, if we're going based on the science here,
Anywhere.
you could go as far as what do they theorize? Like another couple million years before the sun
Dude, I
blows?
I have no idea.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Time in general is just insane because, again, like we say almost every episode, time is a construct.
Yes.
So it's like, do we even know how long the Earth has actually been around? I mean, they're like,
true. Yeah.
You know, you got we've been around for millions of years.
We've been around
billions
for a couple
of years.
Thousand. You know,
before humans ever touched the ground, there were animals and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Then it's like, then you get into the whole like, well, if it is religion, for us, obviously, we got the Bible because that's what we've studied the most. I wouldn't go into another religion because I don't know. But it's like, then you got, was it a literal 7 days God created the earth?
Yeah,
How do we know what real time is if time doesn't exist?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is a day to God versus what is a day to us?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to think, well, could there have been animals on here way longer than us? Because, you know, birds in the sky and all this stuff.
Yeah,
that was created before God made man.
It's true.
If it's not literal days and it's millions of years, I mean, it checks out, you know? Like, so it's very odd.
Because isn't there a verse or something in the Bible which is why the
you don't know God's time.
Is that what it is? Something
you don't
like
know
that?
you don't know when God's coming back. You don't know when God. Yeah.
Yeah. Which begs the question of whether or not it's actually 7 days or not.
Yeah, and then that gets into, you know, so many people use that to almost discredit the Bible, but then it's like, well, if it's not literal, it could literally coincide with a lot of all the scientific things that a lot of people go into with, oh, we can measure the year of a tree by how long, oh, this tree's been alive for blah, 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 however many hundreds of years, you know. You sit there and think in your head, nah, there's no way that could happen. But then it's like,
think about it.
What if it could?
Yeah,
you know, like, there's just so many things we don't know that is very interesting.
I think I'm part of the select few who actually would travel to the future if I could.
Okay.
Even, like, I would not go super far. Like, I wouldn't risk, it's like you said,
far.
Religion or not, I don't know what the future holds.
I don't want to know what is on
the world could end, and I could just... Because were you the one that was telling me about the guy or the people who warped to a different time?
Yes.
And like you were telling me about the concept of if they warped, technically the Earth rotates and it rotates around the sun. So if they warped to a different point in time where the Earth is just
on the complete other side of the sun, do you just show up in a vat of nothing?
Oh my God. That's
and then you just instantly die and that's it?
So
and how many oh my gosh, and then that poses the question, if time travel does exist and it's already real and it's already out there, what if the person who's done it just died? What if the machine is here? What if there's literally a machine that we just don't know what timeline it'd be in?
The fact that you and I can think of this concept definitely means that there are others who have thought of it. Which also means, in theory, we have the science to be able to tell where the Earth will be at a certain time. Yeah. So if you're smart about it, you could do the math and hope that you should. Although, again, it still begs the question of where you are physically, because even if you get the Earth at the right place, you could time travel into a tree, you know, just like those people on the ship.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I don't know the whole story, so I'm gonna butcher it, but apparently there is something involving secret military government thing, and it was out in the middle of the ocean on a Navy ship, and people like saw this big old machine brought in, like Coast Guard people, you know, people who are like, oh, I'm serving like, you know, just a few years or something, then I'm off of a boat, and then like, I'm gonna say whatever I want, you know, type of thing. So you got people on other ships who like witnessed this big old machine be transported onto this big old ship, and then something happens and they shift in time. They literally like shift location or whatever by like I think 10 or 15 minutes. Whatever they did, I don't know what it was. I don't know the whole story, so I won't butcher it. But they did something, and it shifted everybody and the ship. I don't think I even told you that.
Oh, and the ship.
It shifted the actual ship it was on.
Oh.
Because apparently they could see indents in the water on where the ship was. Like it happened so instantaneous that it didn't give time for the water to fill back in.
Really?
And people like fused into like the ship. Like some people had their limbs like caught like inside like of a wall or something. So then you sit here, that was by accident. That wasn't even what they were trying to do.
Have you ever thought about that? Like, if your arm got phased into a wall, I've always thought about how that would scientifically work. Would your arm get cut off, or would your atoms sort of
like around it, shape around
mix? Like, do you become the wall? Does the wall form around you, or does it split your hand off? Those are like the three options, and I've never been able to tell what I think would more likely happen.
I think maybe your cells would like fuse into the cells of the wall. Like, I think your skin, like, you know, if like you sit on something for a long time, your skin like can grow.
Yeah. So you think your arm would actually kind of be part of the wall at that point?
I think so.
Okay.
Like, you know, like in The Last of Us, where they literally, like they're on there for you know, a certain point where it's just it grows onto it. You know, and there's like cases of people who, like, you know, normally it's like bigger people because they don't stand and all that. We just watched A Whale, by the way, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, where they'll like sit long enough to where their freaking legs, like, their skin grows and it like you know, like, yeah, you can have webbed hands and shit.
Yep.
It like webs the freaking joints and everything to where you can't move your legs.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I feel like it's probably
one.
Something like that. It probably just like fuses you to it.
It's weird to think about, because then it probably, if that was the case, it probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, you'd probably just be like, all right, I guess I'm stuck here forever.
What the hell's going on? Yeah.
Could you imagine? Within like 10, 15 minutes, you just
part of a
shift
wall,
completely like into something.
At that
like,
point, I mean, the best thing you could do is you could take a piece of the wall off that your arm is in or whatever's in, and then see if science can somehow separate you. But more than likely, if that is the case, you're going to have to
cut it off.
Cut it off. That's terrifying.
But that's like a mistake. That like happened off of, like, apparently whatever the machine was, it wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Whether or not we know that for sure. What if they're like, oh yeah, we are going to test this out. This is a time machine. Mm-hmm. It works. Yeah. Theoretically, it works. They went back in time. Like 10, 15 minutes.
No movies ever explore that idea with the fact that the world moves. Again, not even to mention getting lost in space, but the whole phasing into stuff. I've never thought about that.
There's a movie.
Which one?
The Prestige.
The Prestige talked about that?
Remember the hats. The reason they couldn't find any of the hats because they were in a different place.
But I thought that was because they were...
Because they couldn't calculate it to get in the same place. Because the Earth moves on a rotation.
Oh, is that why they were moving?
That's why they couldn't calculate it. That's why it took them so long to realize, oh my God, we're making multiples of the same thing. They're just in a different place. Because you can't calculate it to hit the same mark every time.
That does make sense. I did not think about that, actually.
That's interesting, right?
That is interesting, yeah. Prestige is a great movie, definitely.
Prestige is insane.
Damn, I'm dying.
I just realized he killed his original... Nah, can't go into that wormhole. That movie would... That's a 3-hour podcast.
Would you talk to yourself?
No.
Never. Not even like.
Never.
Would you go see yourself?
Past, future, none.
Would you see yourself?
Nope.
You wouldn't even go back and look?
No.
Why?
Well, if it's the future, I don't want to know if I'm alive or dead.
Yeah, sure. I understand.
Could you imagine going to look yourself up and realizing you died 3 years before then? Now you know when you die.
It causes another paradox idea, which is that if you know how, you know where, you know when.
Then I'm gonna try and stop it, and then boom. Then you're going to a whole other. Nope. Yeah, wouldn't do it. Past? No, because I also don't, if I decide not to touch anything or do anything and want to go back to my own timeline, if I even look at myself in the past, there is a chance that they can look back too.
True.
Then what does that do to you psychologically? You don't even have to say a word.
Here's the thing,
what if I look over and I'm seeing another you?
But we don't look like we did. Imagine, or depending on how far back you go, obviously.
I think my past me is going to know who I am now.
You think so?
You don't think you would know yourself?
High school me would not recognize me. High school me was an idiot.
You don't think you would physically recognize yourself?
I think what would likely happen is we would do the normal human instinct, which is to think that guy looks a lot like me.
Really? You think so? Really?
I think it would depend on how close you are. Like, again, because if you went back and you were just watching yourself, you didn't actually want to interact with his timeline.
Yeah.
even if he saw you from across the street, I think you're just going to be like,
you don't
oof,
think
that
your
guy looks...
sixth sense would like go off? Like, you don't think anything in your body would alarm you to the fact that this should not exist right now? Whatever I'm looking at, it's like the doppelganger thing, bruh.
Yeah.
How are you gonna see something that looks like you?
But again,
and
I feel
not-
like it depends on where you go in your
unless
time.
you get plastic surgery, if you look
if I go
completely
back
different.
a week, sure. I feel like the me from a week ago will be like, that's not okay.
Well, yeah, but
but if you go back to like Del Rosa, you go back to middle school, you think that even childhood Brent would be able to be like, I don't feel good. I
there's
don't
actually a movie that has something like that,
what?
and it literally triggers him to go time travel. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what movie it was. It might have been Looper. There's a time travel movie with Hayden Christensen, and I want to say it.
I know what you're talking about. I never saw it.
Might be that one. It might be. I don't know.
With
but
Sam Jackson? Was he in it?
You can't quote me on it.
Okay.
I don't remember what movie, but I know it's obviously a time travel movie. But the whole point is that this guy's going through old videos of him when he was a kid, like at birthday parties and stuff. Like, I think a family member died or something weird, you know. So he's reminiscing. He's going through all these videos.
Yeah.
And he's with all of his friends. And then they look in the background, and they're like, "Dog, is that you?" Guy's never time traveled before. He's like, "What do you mean?" They pause the video, and they look in the background, and he's the one filming his 10th birthday party. But it's him, like current him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dog, what?" Goes into a basement, finds out his dad was building a time machine or some shit. He figures out how to time travel off of his dad's like schematics or whatever. The whole movie goes full circle, and the movie ends with how it started, with him going through the hallway, and he pans over, and his little kid self is there at his birthday party because he can't pinpoint where he's going in the past. But imagine how that affects you. He never time traveled, and then he sees himself in a video.
That scenario would be
and then
really
he
bad.
goes back, but that literally triggers him to time travel.
Sure. But
and
again,
his little kid self didn't even like know he was there. But that whole thing ripple affects him.
But that also, you have to,
day.
if you were going to argue that, we have to argue the fact that he sat there and recorded himself with a camera and got caught. If I was going to time travel to my past timeline to watch, I wouldn't get close at all. I would have been like if we were having
you're gonna
a
be like a
guys' night.
sniper just like in a building far away looking at you.
That's
like,
true.
What?
Some of the memories, if you could go back and watch, you'd want to be up close and see it.
Like
you'd have to
like.
interact.
Then what's the point?
It is tough.
You had like if you want
and
to
if
see
you do
yourself in the
interact
past,
or you
want
do
to
get close enough, then yes, I would agree with you that it would cause a ripple, or you would understand that it's you.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you couldn't even disguise yourself. You couldn't like wear all black and like bump into yourself or something for an interaction, because then they see that alters the timeline, because they see it. They don't have to see it's you, but they see a person there that was never there before in that past.
Do you think, regarding memory, do you think you could go back, cause something that never happened to you to happen, and when it does, do you think that the memory of that thing, like let's say, to make it more clear, if you went back to you in the past,
would it give you all new memories from changing one thing? Or
would you comprehend them as new memories, or would you comprehend them as that always happened and you never realized until now that it was you? Do you think, because that would in question mean that there was a timeline once where it never happened up until you time traveled?
Yeah.
So does your brain comprehend it as there was that one time in my life where that never happened, and now I remember it happening, or does your brain
just
reset?
Always there? Yeah, it's just always there. I
what
mean,
do you think?
Well, I think if you're going off of separate timeline theory and all that kind of stuff, if you're not going by that, I feel like it would kind of work out the same as would I still exist?
You
If
think
I
it
were to
would,
go back, I feel like it would kind of be the same thing. Like if you remain like maybe in that past, then maybe
You
like
wouldn't
you
remember?
don't really.
Is
Yeah,
that what you
you're
mean?
obviously you would know you just did it or whatever.
But you wouldn't
But I don't think
have
it would
that
be in your head as
subconscious.
yeah. I feel like unless you
Interesting,
traveled
yeah.
back, maybe maybe those
I can get
memories
down
would
with
kind
that
of
theory.
start like coming in. But I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
I think memories and thoughts are a completely different subject because that's like psychological. What does that do to you?
Yeah.
Versus like the physical
Mhm.
butterfly effect of what happens,
Yeah.
That's like observable. But like, I mean, we never know. You can go through a wormhole or something, come back, and you just come out, like for like brain dead or something. I don't know. Like you don't know what could happen to you psychologically. Like, what if it crushes your brain or something in the process? Like I don't know.
like,
Like yeah, you don't know. Like what if you come out just cooked? Your brain cooked.
Yeah.
Like what do you do?
I definitely don't think we could survive wormhole travel.
You don't think
at
so?
this current
You don't
point
think
in time?
you don't
I
think your body could handle the pressure?
Because I'm pretty sure, like I said, I don't know the exact science, but I think even though we don't know where it all goes,
Because it's just a funnel,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's measurable that it goes down, like
Mm-hmm.
it crushes, it condenses. I guess you don't have to say crush. Crush is a little intense,
If I can't,
but it condenses. So
if I can't dive more than 30 meters underwater, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it through a
Exactly.
wormhole. Unless, because again, we've never sent anyone through a wormhole.
True.
What if it just compresses you and then you just go and expand back on the other side? Because what if it's like a figure eight type of situation where it's like funnel, close, then open on the other side? What if somehow I mean, I don't know physically what it would do to you, but
yeah.
what if, you go out and then reassemble back? I don't know.
I mean, that would be the goal. I think
I would
that
hope
be the
so.
hope.
It's either you go in or you're gone. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much what you're looking at.
Do you think that if we let technology and mankind progress exponentially for the rest of time, that one day we would send someone in, no matter the risk? Like, do you think
Yeah.
there would be a point in time where we
You're
have to
gonna
risk
tell me
it
you
at
don't
some
think
point?
we've sent a monkey in a wormhole yet? Dog, we sent a monkey into space before we went into
I
space.
doubt
You
that
don't
we've sent
think
one
we've-
into a wormhole yet.
I think
but
maybe
I could
the
definitely...
cost. I think maybe the cost is the factor. Like, how much is it going? Because
Sure.
you're going to end up probably wasting whatever it is you're
Yeah.
throwing in there. They're probably not coming back because you don't know where the other end of a wormhole
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
So it's like, what would
Now,
happen? Now,
how interesting would it be? Can you imagine the scientific breakthrough of you send something with a GPS signal, and all of a sudden, even if it's later, like if it's, it would be way easier to track if it was in the future. But if it went into the past, actually, that would be such a weird thing. Can you imagine if we got a signal right now from outer space that we didn't know what it was?
yeah.
We didn't know what it meant. We didn't know. We probably would chalk it off to being like UFO type.
Yeah.
But then someday in the future, Elon Musk or something like that, one day is like, I think it cracked a way to send something through a wormhole without it destroying itself.
And then you find out that the
it
thing
has
you
the
sent
same
was,
signal, or it
yeah.
has the same input.
So it just traveled. So you just figured out time travel by accident, and you just don't know because we're getting the signal now.
Yeah.
And can't comprehend what the signal is.
It would be so hard to comprehend it. It would be easier.
I've actually
if it was in
thought.
the
I mean,
future.
that's like Interstellar. Have you ever seen Interstellar?
No,
That's
I
with Christian
wanted
Bale.
to. I was going to watch it, but I never got around to it.
Dog, it is the exact same type. I mean, you literally think it's low key, kind of like a ghost phenomena type of thing, and then
Really?
you realize at the end you're like, what? So
Dude,
definitely a must
I'm so
watch.
hyped for time travel right now. I want to go watch all the movies.
Dude, it is. It is an amazing movie. It is one of those. I saw it in the movie theaters when it first came out, and
Really?
it's like a 3-hour long movie.
Damn.
And I just remember I sat in there the entire time, like, I have no idea what's happening. I'm so confused.
Yeah,
like, I was
yeah.
young, too, so I was like, I thought this was a space movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So that's what
I mean,
thought.
he's like in space, but, like, I'm just so confused as to what the goal is. And then you get to the end, and you're just like, hey, yo, what? Like, what is
Yeah,
happening right now? Like, I mean, it's like The Prestige. I mean, you get to the end, and you're just like, this is not what I thought at all. Like, it's like there's so much going on right now. Yeah, it's it is it's a phenomenal movie. Definitely a recommend for alien, time travel, space, all that kind of stuff. It's just combines everything into one solid package, and it's Christian Bale, man.
All right, I have another. We're getting to a decent area, but I have another hypothetical question that I want to. The purpose of this question is to dive into who you are as a person.
Oh, okay.
If you could time travel and you could specifically go back and change something to benefit you now, it doesn't have to be a bad change or like a crazy change where you go back and like, you know, you stop yourself from getting broken up with. It can be if you want, but if you could
I got one.
Go back. Hold on. I haven't asked the question yet.
I know. I'm sorry.
If you could go back and do whatever is in your head, would you do it? The person you are now. Let's say if legitimately, actually think about the fact, if you could go back and change something about your past, would you as a person feel like it would be okay to do so? Morally?
No.
Would you go against the morals if there were no repercussions?
Yes.
Really?
Want to know what I would do?
What?
It's pretty smart if you ask me.
Okay.
I'm going to go back in time before I was born. I'm going to kill myself. No. No.
Waiting for that, bro.
I would reverse it. Well, before I go back, let me take a little step. I will reverse engineer an iPhone. Learn how to make an iPhone.
Okay.
Go back in time. Pitch the idea to Steve Jobs before he makes the iPhone.
Oh.
Skip Mac, skip Apple, all of it. I have the schematics for an iPhone 14.
Mm-hmm.
Technology no one's ever seen before in that time.
Yeah.
This is how we build it. Are you down?
Dude, that would be so weird. Like, bro, why?
I want to be a silent partner. I don't want my name attached to it.
Oh, really?
But I want you to send this money to this person.
Do you mean... So, okay, if we're still talking time travel logic, then, are you having him send the money to you then? Or...
The name on the bill... Suzanne Hinshaw, because that was my mom's name before. But
I didn't know that.
Incredible amount of wealth.
Yeah.
Then come back.
What would she say?
What
would your mom say? Your mom wouldn't have no idea what's happening.
Write a note. I'll be like, you don't understand this all right now, but you will.
And then
shit like that.
And then that would be the one day you come back and you're like, hey, Mom, guess what I just did? You come back to your timeline.
Well, I just come back to the timeline and I'm like, remember that day in, and I will write it all. Like I'll have it all down. Mm-hmm. So she'll just be like, "How do you know this?" Obviously, because I wasn't born yet. You know, some crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just freak her out and be like, "Do you understand?" Something like that, and like because I don't even have to tell her at that point. Because how would I know that?
Do you think?
Because how would I know that?
No, I know.
Like I put a code in there, or like words on there that you would know, and then just say it, and be like, you don't have to understand, but I did this for you or something, like.
Oh, do you think that a person could handle that information genuinely? I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would believe it. I don't know if
what would you say? Like, what do you...
You'd have to have some kind of code or something.
Either that or have a picture of me when I'm older, like, because she wouldn't know
what you look like.
Yeah.
Dude, but that would kind of start to scare her, don't you think? Maybe not. She might put it away
because
or not think about it after
she might
a long
not think
time.
about it. She'll just be like, oh, who is this for or something.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Because I'm not saying it's me. I'm not doing anything like that. She's just coming into this insane amount of wealth, and then she just doesn't find out until I'm already back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not technically... I'm altering the timeline, but I'm not, like, directly doing it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm having Steve Jobs do it...
then nothing really changes. I
Yeah.
mean, well, other than the fact that
I'm
Apple would
altering
be
Apple.
Apple would be insane now.
That's what I mean.
Apple
like
would
it
be
would be nothing.
crazy
I feel like
now.
it'd be nothing but like good things. I mean, imagine doing that.
Apple's
Maybe Steve Jobs doesn't die.
Apple's empire would
Maybe Steve Jobs doesn't die
maybe
because the technology is so much advanced.
true.
I mean, think about what
Could
he could
they-
come up with
I don't
from
know
an
what-
iPhone 14.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would be such a new concept. I mean,
would
because back then it was just iPod, or not even iPods and.
no, there was no. Well, I'm talking
There-
about
there-
before
we were on the
Apple. I'm
cusp.
talking about before Apple existed. I'm talking like Steve Jobs in his basement designing.
No, I know, but I'm saying not just iPods. I just mean we were on the cusp of technology only just starting to get small.
Yeah, I mean there
and
were
condensed.
MP3, there were
That's-
MP3 players.
Yeah,
They were all
little
that.
things like that.
But like he was like, how do I combine a computer
With a phone.
with a phone?
Yeah.
And it's touchscreen, but it also plays music and
Have you seen the footage
takes pictures.
of him
Like-
promoting the first iPhone? It's pretty cool. There's like a.
I think I have. I don't think I remember like fully, but it was something
He
along the
basically
lines of that,
goes
right?
through and there's like a PowerPoint presentation. He's like, you'll be able to take photos, and then everybody's like, woohoo! And then he goes,
Yeah.
play your own favorite music, and everybody's like, wow! And then he's like, and make calls at the same time, and people are like, no fucking way! And
Yeah.
it's like, it's so
Yeah.
crazy to see how times have changed.
But
man.
it's just like we have such little appreciation for that stuff now. I
Yeah.
mean, like really think of that concept. You have an actual camera, a camera that shoots in 4K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Camera. People can't even afford to buy a camera, period. Like
Yeah.
an actual DSLR camera.
Mm-hmm.
On top of a touchscreen phone,
Yeah.
just the phone, and to make calls and text. By the way, texting is unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
Other crazy
Obviously.
concept that people don't think about.
I remember when it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. I had 250 texts a month.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
So, on top of being able, and I'm talking about for first iPhones, being able to plug your phone into a computer and then download music onto a phone, which
Yeah.
also happens to be a camera, which also on top of that can use the internet. Like, think of like how insane that
No,
concept,
the concept
like actually
is
like
absolutely
the concept is
mind-boggling.
insane. And then you
Yeah.
think of what we have now. I mean, like I said, 4K camera.
Dude,
you
we
know,
totally still take it for
unlimited
granted.
text.
We're literally using
like-
phones to record a
Yeah.
podcast right now.
And we've been filming for an hour and 30 minutes.
I know.
Like,
It's crazy, man.
and it's so crazy, like how I guess spoiled we are in that
And some people
area.
don't realize it.
Like,
I feel like we're aware. We're well aware that
there
we're
are
spoiled.
iPad kids, bruh.
Yeah. There are
Kids
that
have, first of
are
all,
just
an
way-
iPad in general.
Wasn't there a story recently of like a kid who shot, I don't know if they killed, I think they did, but I don't want to say they did, but shot at their parent or guardian for not buying
Over
them.
the
I saw one about a VR, like wouldn't
a
buy them a
VR.
VR headset, and so like got a hold of one of their, and I'm talking a child, I'm talking like from anywhere from like 7 to like 13-year-old, where they found the gun and were pissed that they weren't allowed to have the
not
VR.
even a high schooler.
No, not even a high schooler, man. That's the times we're living in.
Yeah.
Time.
I just don't understand how we've gotten this far so fast.
Neither do I.
Negatively, I don't understand how we've gotten.
That's what's
so
scary about
far so
technology
fast,
is
man.
that it's so exponentially growing. It's just, it gets
Yeah,
bigger and bigger the more we go down. It gets faster.
you want to think about something insane, like for a second with me. I
Sure.
mean, I know we're kind of getting like
No,
we're
yeah,
getting
go-
off topic
go
from
for it.
time traveling, but like I mean, it is the sign of the times, so I guess
Yeah.
it kind of falls in line. But we're 23.
Mhm.
I'm 23.
I'm
You're
22.
22.
Yeah.
So rounded down to 20, right?
Sure.
Whatever. That is 2 decades. So 10, 10.
Mm-hmm.
Within a span of 10 years, I'm even being generous. I'm giving us the ability to be 10 years old, in this situation.
Okay.
We have had 10 years. Oh, apologies. 10 years to see the world completely change. Like, from 10, we're able to, remember and logically, like, oh, I remember when. Type of thing, Think of how different the world is 10 years from, like, where we are now. Can you just...
No, I think about that all the time.
Think of how different the world is, and then you think about how different the world must be for our parents.
Yeah.
From then. And then you think about how different the world is from our grandparents. And I only go there because we both have grandparents.
Yeah.
It's only been 10 years for us, dude, so far.
No, honestly, one thing I think about all the time is the fact that every year starts to feel like it's going faster than the last year.
Yeah.
And then if you add that up to decades as well, this last decade, from my ages of...
We're already 3 years into this next decade.
Dude, that's what's insane to me. 7 more years. Only 7, and we're done with this one. Like, did you ever think about that? I hate that concept because I remember the ages from 0 to 10 was like some of the longest years of my life. I thought it would never end.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
I would
so
never
hard
grow
for
up.
us to remember,
Yeah, super hard.
That's why I go by 10 because I feel like from then you can kind of remember all that stuff.
Then you take like 11 to 20, and I feel like that decade, though it still was a long time, near the tail end of it, you noticed it in high school. Because in high school, you have freshman year, would never end. You wanted it to end. You'd be so tired of school. And then by senior year, it was like you walked in and you walked out. That's what it felt like, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that high school was the first eye-opening moment to that concept, because then after that, every year in life started getting faster. And even now, the fact that we are in 2023, I remember when the pandemic started, bro, and I thought that we were going to be in it forever, and now we're 3 years later. 3 years since COVID. Can you believe that? We just passed the mark. Do you know that? We just passed the 3-year mark of the shutdown.
Because it was March.
Yeah.
I cannot... It really... I mean, it honestly kind of makes me sad.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I try not to think about it.
So do I. I like when we talk about it, I do get kind of sad to think about, like, damn, dude. I remember, like, it was just coming up when you were talking about March and everything, but I was just remembering the first time we really saw each other when the pandemic happened, and we went walking in East Highland. We had such a good time, and we were literally just walking.
Yeah.
We were walking for like what, 2 to 4 miles, something like that. Just walking down the sidewalk, talking. It had been so long since we had seen each other. We were still hesitant on if we were gonna wear masks while we were walking together,
we
talking
didn't know who
and
we
everything.
Were gonna be as.
Yeah. And I just think about that so fondly, and I think, dude, that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
Like that was, and look at where we're at now.
It's a completely different era.
Like, it's so weird. Like, it's so weird. And then, you just think about, like, your life and how fast everything's going, and you start to worry about where you're at, and you start to,
What did you tell me just yesterday? Didn't you say 2015 is, like, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
8 years ago?
8 years ago. And you think about, like, how... Like,
2013 has been 10
years.
Years.
To us, we're like, 2015, that's not even that long ago. And then you think, dog, it was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, man. And, like, you start to, like, worry about, like, where you're at in your life. And, you start comparing yourself with friends and family, people you don't know, influencers. And you're like, oh, my gosh. Like, there are influencers out here making millions of dollars. And they're my age.
Mm-hmm.
You know how, like, upsetting that is? Like, I know you're not supposed to compare your life with anyone else, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Well, dude, it fucking sucks, all right? Like, it
it's
sucks.
It's human, yeah.
It literally sucks.
That's normal.
When you think about how you know, you got like David Dobrik out here. Millions of dollars of house. of house, man. Just a house. A place to live.
Yeah.
Millions. Like.
And we're filming our podcast in a garage.
Yeah. I have like, what? Maybe $300 in my bank account. Maybe.
I think I have.
And I know you have less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. You just get on that wave of life and you get a little nervous.
Mm-hmm,
You're like, oh my God, like there's so much stuff I want to do or have to do. And
yeah,
you start comparing. But I think you just got to come to the point where I just got to do what's going to make me happy in life, you know?
I don't know why, but you gave me an idea for another podcast we could do. If we ever figure out how to have guests, you imagine sitting down here, just you, me, and then your mom and my mom as guests, where we can just kind of talk about, you know, their lives growing up. Because I actually had this idea. I'm going to do this for Pi J podcasts, self-promoting. But I'm going to do this thing where I go through and I just interview, kind of like what we're doing right now, just you and me. But I'm going to talk to my family members individually, and the series is going to be called Comparing Childhoods. So comparing my childhood to Jonathan's, because I know he is having a much different lifestyle than I did growing up, different parenting styles, which is fine.
Yeah.
Becca had a similar one, so that might be an interesting take. But then going on to compare my childhood to my dad's or my mom's, seeing how it compared to, like, what kind of friends they made, what life was like, what lifestyle was like back then, what it's like growing up without parents.
Living in a completely different decade.
Yeah, exactly. Different laws, different, you know, rules.
Yeah. I mean, we've lived through two of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
So, thought that might be an interesting
pop
one
punk's
too.
coming back, so I mean,
That's
I
true.
guess
That's
I
true.
guess some things are coming full circle.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think that would be a really cool. I think that'd be a really cool podcast topic. I feel like mine would be kind of hard considering, like, I don't have a lot of different family. I don't have siblings or anything.
True,
like
but
that,
you could do. That's why you do it with your mom and your grandma. You could have, like, you could talk to them about.
The only problem with them is they're only 16 years apart.
True.
Because my grandma had my mom at 16. Crazy stuff.
That is crazy.
Could you imagine? That's a whole other thing in itself, man. Could you imagine having a kid at 16?
No.
Dog, think of 16-year-old Joey, man.
Idiot.
Think of 16-year-old Joey and think of just, all right, here's a kid, buddy.
Yeah.
Be a dad.
No, I could not.
Like, what?
No, I could not. I was such a idiot when I was 16. I hate what I was when I was 16 years old. I was still with Kaylee when I was 16.
I don't even know. Was I even with someone at 16? I don't even know.
If I was with
all
Kaylee,
my years get
we
so
broke
blurred.
up when I was 17, which means you may have been with Miranda at the time. May have, depending on the timelines.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
It depends. It
I
would
thought
be
you
like
guys broke up in 2018.
we did, but I was 17.
Yeah, but I was 18.
Yeah. So were you with Miranda
I think
when
me
you were
and Miranda.
17 or
no,
when you were 18?
Me and Miranda broke up. When you guys broke up, remember?
I know. So
We
were
were
you
only together senior year. Yeah, so I don't think.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think.
Yeah.
Cause 16, that's fucking. For you, whatever.
Do I have to bleep names?
We're going on a tangent.
Does it matter? Do we care?
I don't know.
Should we? Should I?
Probably, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I didn't do it in the last episode, so we definitely mentioned a couple. But I'll start bleeping names from this point.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, before we start wrapping things up, I had a little show and tell that I kind of wanted to bring to the table. If you're down,
Okay.
still.
All right.
So for the viewers or listeners watching right now, there is a recent court case going on in America right now about whether or not TikTok should be banned because of the fear of the Chinese government taking in American data and data, analytics and stuff like that, like tapping into our phones, getting our personal information and taking that and keeping it for themselves for their own personal gain. And so the CEO of TikTok has been going to the court case lately to basically try and argue against that and say that it's false and that's not what we're doing. It's literally just an app like Vine was. And one thing that I won't
R.I.P.
show
Vine.
in the videos that I have prepared is he actually throws out. Oh man, I should have brought that clip. That one was a good one too. He actually throws out in their faces that American-run agencies like Facebook has tapped into more of the American data and personal information than TikTok even has currently. So, like,
Dang, that's a
it's-
pretty fair argument.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fair argument.
and so basically, I just kind of thought I should show you some of it, and then maybe some people will get a kick out of some of these clips. But this is to show how ridiculous I think some of these congressmen and women are being for the American justice system. It feels like a bunch of old men and women who don't actually know what they're talking about, have never actually opened the app before. I do think, because here's the whole point, it's not just about the data usage, because maybe you can give it a little bit of input on what you think, but one of the other arguments...
By the way.
Go for it.
You still didn't tell me anything about this, so this is just all new information to me as well. Not
Yes,
just the users.
sorry. I'm trying
So
to... I'm not only just trying
hey,
to
yo,
throw
what?
all this at you, but
Okay.
I also have a question for you
Okay.
about TikTok before we get to the videos. Not only is the whole Chinese government taking American data a problem that they're trying to argue, they're also arguing that it's not a safe place for children or teenagers because of the acts of violence, sexual natures that can happen. Do you think TikTok is... Because the whole argument is that they are trying to, when they find the video that's bad, they get rid of it. So that's like kind of one of their stances, the CEO. But
So wait, you're gonna ask me like, do I think?
do you think it's actually bad? Do you think that TikTok is...
I think it's no worse than a kid just playing video games, to be honest. I mean, think of how realistic and graphics and everything video games are now and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's be real. If you're going to be a stickler about TikTok, then you should be a stickler about everything else, too. Like, if you're going to be that guy. If you're
you
gonna
can't
be,
just ban video games.
If you're going to be that parent, then you got to ban everything. Like, so saying TikTok is any worse than any of that, but you're letting your kids play GTA or Red Dead, or God of War, or sorry, you're gonna have to ban those too.
What about
and you're gonna
sexual
have to be
stuff
that
though?
person.
What about, because
There's
I
sexual
won't even
stuff in GTA
I won't
5.
even lie. No, that's fair. That's fair. But like, do you think, because there are some videos, I'll admit, where they're like girls literally showing their tatas,
Yeah.
and you can see the whole thing. And those videos, I never find them again, so I don't know whether or not they actually get deleted or not. But they last to the point where there's millions of views, millions of likes, hundreds of thousands of comments. So they last for quite a bit of time on the algorithm of TikTok before they may or may not get wiped out. Do you think that there should be more things implemented to take out the violence and sexual acts on TikTok for reasons like teens and kids? Do you think that's something that should be taken into account?
I mean, you're gonna have people complain about both sides. You know, like, you shouldn't take it away, or you should take it away. You know, like, there's always gonna be an argument about it. I think if you want to really like filter that stuff out and like not have problems, just make a I don't really know how to describe it, but make like almost like a tier of TikTok, you know, like make a safe for children and make a like an 18 and up.
That's
or whatever.
true. They do have that. They,
you know,
they
like,
could do that.
Of course, I could say, yeah, you should be more strict on that stuff. You should limit all that stuff. Blah blah blah. But it's like from a business standpoint, if they want to keep people on, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like that would make more sense to me personally.
Do you?
But
I don't know. I have about just as much information as you do.
okay.
Do you think that the Chinese are trying to steal our data through TikTok? I have no idea. I don't think so.
Honestly, I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, the CEO mentioned, freaking Mark Zuckerberg has everyone's data. He now owns Instagram too, bro. So it's like Instagram is powered by Meta. Meta is Facebook.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so it's
And
like,
I think that's what it was. I think Meta was part of the organization that's taking
yeah,
in
they
all
literally
the
want
data
you
from
to
us.
store all of your information on there
Yeah.
all the time. Like, so it's like, bro, he has a very fair point.
Yeah.
Because that means that our government has all of our information.
Exactly. That's his argument, is that...
Like, I feel like that's kind of worse.
Yeah.
Like, to be completely honest with you, like, what are the Chinese going to do to me? Like, I'm poor. Like, if they're looking for bank account stuff and everything, I'm sorry, I don't have money.
Yeah.
Like, it, you know, to me, it's like, what are you going to do?
Much.
Like, yeah, I feel like
then I think
the
you
U.S.
and me are
having
on,
my government,
we're on pretty similar pages then.
stuff, like, yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, when you think about it, it's like it is kind of scary, and like everyone's like, nah, and look at the people who are looking past it. All of the rich people who are in power are casting a blind eye to that. What does that tell you?
Exactly. No, that's...
We're not gonna no comment. No comment. Sorry,
that's like the
you didn't even
main
have to show me
thing that
video.
I've
I
been
already know that's probably how it went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I've been seeing most of these arguments made by people who are reacting to this court case, is that it's honestly just kind of scaring them that these are the people that we have lined up on our Congress right now making these decisions, people who are so unaware of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I don't want to keep talking out of my ass. I actually want you to like make your own conclusion. So I'm going to play... We can go through... Yeah, we'll just go through all 4. I have 4 videos to show you.
All right.
We'll just be kind of quiet, and then we'll come back. But
Got it.
When am I going to get paid for the data you're getting from my children, my grandchildren?
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the...
So if I have a TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Can you say with 100% certainty that TikTok does not use the phone's camera to determine whether the content that elicits a pupil dilation should be amplified by the algorithm? Can you tell me that?
We do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users. We do not.
You don't?
No. The only face data that you get, that we collect, is when you use the filters to have, say, sunglasses on your face. We need to know where your eyes are.
Why do you need to know what the eyes are if you're not seeing if they're dilated?
I have never heard someone say so many wrong things, one after the other, consecutively in a row.
What?
We do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users.
I find that hard to believe. It's our understanding that they're looking at the eyes. How do you determine what age they are then?
We rely on age gating as our key age assurance.
Age
gating, which is when you ask the user what age they are. We have also developed some tools where we look at their public profile to go through the videos that they post to see whether...
Well, that's creepy. Tell me more about that.
It's public. So if you post a video, you choose that video to go public, that's how you get people to see your video. We look at those to see if it matches up the age that you talked about. Now, this is a real challenge for our industry because privacy versus age assurance is a really big problem.
Look, you keep talking about the industry. We're talking about TikTok. You keep talking about the industry. We're talking about TikTok here. We're talking about children dying. Do you know how many children have died because of this? Do you have any idea? Can you tell me?
Congressman, again, it's heartbreaking.
Can you tell me how many children in America have died because of challenges like this?
The majority of people who use our platform use it for positive experiences.
That's not what I ask you. I ask you, tell me the number of children, of U.S. children who have died because of these challenges.
Congressman, again, the majority of people who come on our platform get a good experience.
I'm not talking about the majority of children. I want to know a number.
Dangerous challenges are not allowed on our platform. If we find them, we will remove them. We take this very seriously.
Obviously, you found one today and you removed it. We had to bring it to your attention, and I know I'm out of time. Thank you for being here. Welcome again to the most bipartisan committee in Congress.
This next one is him saying what promises he is going to try to use to not only help with like keeping TikTok running correctly, but also to help manage things like age gating, like he was talking about.
Yeah.
Making sure kids aren't getting the wrong stuff. Just promises to the American government.
150 million Americans who love our platform, and we know we have a responsibility to protect them, which is why I'm making the following commitments to you and to all our users. Number one, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number two, we will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. Number three, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government. And fourth, we will be transparent and we will give access to third-party independent monitors to remain accountable for our commitments. I'll be grateful for any feedback that you have, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
And then this one's just kind of a funny one, but still shows a couple clips.
All the teenagers out there and TikTok influencers who think we're just old and out of touch and don't know what we're talking about.
Intel algorithms don't know I'm having talk today. TikTok at any time provided the Chinese government with either precise GSP information.
Can you tell me right now, can you say with 100% certainty that TikTok does not use the phone's camera to determine whether the content that elicits a pupil dilation should be amplified by the algorithm?
The only face data that you'll get, that we collect, is when you use the filters to have, say, sunglasses on your face. We need to know where your eyes are.
You need to know what the eyes are if you're not seeing if they're dilated.
And that data is stored on your local device and deleted after use if you use it for facial.
Inferences made from that data.
That I can give you a straight and no.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi.
Why have you not directed your engineers to change this source code?
Congressman, thank you for the question.
Have you directed
I'm not finished.
them to change the source code?
Like what we are offering and my fourth commitment?
Have you directed them to change that source code?
Congressman, if you give me a bit of time to just...
No, I don't...
Oh my God, can you let me do what I need to do?
So, now that you've seen some of the clips, hopefully that was good enough for you to kind of get a better understanding of it.
I got
how they're just making these outlandish claims, like the pupil dilation one. How they're like,
what does that even mean?
So I think the congressman is trying to say, are you trying to tell me that you're not trying to understand how our pupil dilation is actually, how that somehow connects to who we are and what we actually like, and that in turn makes what we like. Okay, sorry, I'm not explaining this right. The way our eyes dilate based on what we see on our feed.
Yeah.
He's asking, does the Chinese government use our eye dilation from what we're gathering to then give you what it thinks you like based on how you responded to it?
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
Yeah.
We don't have that technology. We have to have a thing that shows you where your eyes are so that we know where to put sunglasses on if you put a filter.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? He has to explain this to people? Or the other guy who's like, does TikTok connect to the home Wi-Fi? And the guy's like, if you have the Wi-Fi on.
Yeah. Like,
you know? It's like, what are you talking about?
Like, oh my gosh, dude. I don't understand.
I just think it's so sad, and it makes me sad because I really enjoy TikTok. I find a lot of not only just entertaining things, but I find a lot of what's the word, informative things on there too.
I do.
Where I learn a lot on TikTok, and it would be a real shame to see this one die.
All the life hacks.
Yeah, exactly, man. Can you imagine if it dies because of this ban, and we it's just another Vine one day?
Dude, we can't have anything nice. We can't have Vine. We can't have. Well, I'm not gonna say Musically because I didn't like that shit, but
I never had it.
It was pretty much the first version of TikTok. I feel, but dude, we can't have Vine though. Oh my gosh.
It might be coming back. You hear that Elon might be revising it?
You're going to tell me that doesn't sound fishy? That Elon Musk is going to bring Vine back as soon as TikTok gets banned? And it's all the people in power in America that are banning TikTok and have no idea what they're talking about.
If Vine, yeah, it would be the same thing. If Vine blew up again, it would just fall into this next thing where there's no trust that, there's nothing sketchy going on. I don't know. Again, that's also why I wanted you to see some of these videos, so if you could make the decision for yourself.
That's the problem. It's like he seems very like, I'm so confused as to like why they're asking me these questions right now.
Yeah.
Like, because they're so...
I wanted to find you just the regular clips, not some of the humorous ones, so you could actually see, but these were the best ones I could find off the fly. But like even that last one, the funnier one, you could see how they're not even letting him respond. They just go, oh, no. What I'm asking is, and then he's like, well, I'm trying to answer, but you won't let me.
You can't even let me talk.
There's literally another clip that I couldn't find in time where a woman makes all these claims. She has a video of that she brought to the board of a gun, and it's like a 3D animated gun which shows you the process of unloading and reloading and all the mechanics of how the gun works and it's shooting at the same time. And she's saying that it's like an act of violence to have videos like this on the internet for children to have, and then after she makes this claim and the video ends, then she immediately goes, all right, with that, I stop my time. And so then the CEO literally goes, may I respond, Chairman? And the chairman's like, no, we're just going to move on. And he doesn't even get to respond to the whole claim of how outlandish that is or how it's getting to children. He gets to make no counter sometimes. And that's why I'm just like, God, I hate it. And that's why I was telling you, it kind of reminds me of the Johnny Depp trials. Just how ridiculous some of those questions were and how...
Yeah, like... What? Like, do you just want to make yourself like? Do you want to make yourself look like an idiot, bro? Like,
yeah,
it's embarrassing. Honestly,
it's embarrassing,
it's embarrassing. Right? Like, everyone looks at America now like we're dumb as shit, and it's not even us that's making us look that bad. I mean, you got some people our age making us look bad, but like, this is just ridiculous.
This is bad. Yeah.
Like, really, you got people out here talking about technology that don't run any technology, like, ever. Like, what? Like, you can't be out here having those fools making decisions on stuff they have no idea what they're talking about. Like, obviously he knows what he's talking about. Look how young he is.
Yeah, he has an answer for everything.
Yeah.
He knows the statistics.
He knows what he's talking about.
And dude, he's honest too. Like, when there comes a time where he doesn't know the exact number of something they're asking, he goes, I'll get back to you in just a minute. We'll have people calculate it, but I can't answer that right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And they just
keep
but they
hounding
treat that
him.
as like him not answering the question or trying to lead them down a false...
When they won't even let him answer questions that they're asking. That is disgusting, bro.
Anyway, I kind of thought you'd get a kick out of that. That's my show and tell for the week.
Wow, that made me angry. Actually made me angry. Now I'm going to have to, like, keep up on the whole thing just to
see what's going on.
See what's going on. Man.
Well, this was a good podcast. I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed kind of sitting down, theorizing about time travel and all the ins and outs of it.
So did I. It was a good one. This was solid. I think this is also our longest podcast.
I think it officially is. I think we made it to 158 that one time. I don't think we ever made it to past 2.
Hell yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, guys. Well, we're your hosts, Brent Murphy.
And Joey Rucker.
Thanks for coming. Later, Gators.
Later.